Imagine if we had the power to edit our own DNA to prevent deadly genetic diseases before they begin. Should we take that opportunity? With the advancement of gene editing technology in our world today, this question is becoming our reality. Many of us know someone in our lives who suffers from genetic diseases such as cystic fibrosis, muscular dystrophy, or genetic cancers. I believe the majority would agree that we would highly consider ways to prevent the struggles those people must go through. According to the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, genetic therapies hold promise to treat many diseases, but they are still new approaches to treatment and may have risks. I am a high school student who has previously taken a Biology 1 course and am currently taking a Biology 2 course. While learning about the science behind our DNA, I have been particularly interested in the advancement of gene editing. This interest has led me to explore more about the future of gene editing in humans to prevent diseases. Throughout this speech, we are going to explore the potential positives and negatives associated with gene editing to prevent human diseases. Let's begin by looking at the pros of gene editing in humans, especially its potential to prevent and cure genetic diseases and transform the future of medicine. Gene editing in humans creates possibilities for the prevention and cure of genetic diseases. According to Cleveland Clinic, the gene editing treatment called Rene-cel was infused into 11 patients with severe sickle cell disease and 6 patients who had TDT. In this article, Robbie Hanna, chair of the Department of Pediatric Hematology, Oncology, and Bone Marrow Transplant at Cleveland Clinic states, by 3 months post-transplant, all the patients had elevation in their fetal hemoglobin to almost 40%, which has been sufficient to prevent sickling in preclinical trials. Here is a graph that shows how patients responded to a gene editing treatment called Rene-cel. These patients had a serious genetic blood disorder. Before the treatment, these patients had extremely low levels of hemoglobin, just around 0.7 grams per deciliter of fetal hemoglobin. That is dangerously low. But as you can see here, this is where the gene editing Rene-cel transfusion took place. Within just a few months, their total hemoglobin levels shot up, and they no longer had the low, dangerous levels of hemoglobin. You can see the orange part of the bars growing over time. That is fetal hemoglobin, or HbF, which their bodies began producing on their own again because of gene editing. By month 3, 4, and beyond, their hemoglobin levels were not only above the transfusion threshold, but moving into the normal range for healthy males and females, which is shown here in the shaded area at the top of the graph. What this graph shows is that these patients who once relied on constant blood transfusions to stay alive became transfusion independent, and gene editing gave them this chance at a normal, healthy life. This source shows that gene editing can help correct or compensate for these harmful genetic mutations. This will lead to improved health outcomes and possible cures for genetic diseases. Another advantage includes specialized gene editing using detailed data, which holds the potential to transform future medical treatments. As mutations of affected families are discovered through DNA sequencing, more information can be provided through DNA sequencing. More information can be provided about the correlations between specific genetic changes and disease severity. This data enables medical professionals to provide genetic cures by either changing the harmful gene or restoring the necessary function of a gene. This use of detailed genetic data turns gene editing into personalized medical solutions, which opens the door to more effective treatments. Now that we've gone over the possible advantages of gene editing in humans to prevent diseases, let's discuss the potential disadvantages associated with this topic. One ethical concern that arises with human gene editing is the risk of mosaicism, or the property or state of being composed of cells of 2 genetically different types. According to the American Society of Gene and Cell Therapy, mosaicism is problematic because the genetic disease to be prevented may still occur if all the cells in the embryo do not have the desired edit. The text goes on to say that the effects associated with mosaicism are unpredictable, and they can even produce entirely different diseases along with potential negative impacts on the development of the embryo. This evidence shows that gene editing to prevent human diseases can create serious problems as far as safety, effectiveness, and uncertainty. It can bring unforeseen consequences and risks to those who undergo the treatment. Another problem that arises with gene editing for the prevention of human diseases is the potential for human germline editing, While germline editing is different from using gene editing to prevent disease, it is becoming a concern as people begin to realize it is a possibility to create designer babies. Genetic enhancement is when gene editing is used to boost the memory, intelligence, or strength of an individual. This enables people to optionally change the genetics of their unborn children to fit the traits of their liking. According to website phys.org, the introduction of genetic modifications into future generations could have permanent and possibly harmful effects on the species. This shows how gene editing, specifically germline manipulation, introduces serious biological risks that go beyond the immediate medical benefits it provides. Based on what we have explored, gene editing technology is advancing at an incredible rate. It creates new opportunities in human genetic disease prevention and treatment. However, it does come with risks that need to be heavily considered, such as germline editing and potential issues that arise from tampering with human genetics. Just because we have the choice to edit human genes, is that really what we should do? I invite you to explore more and consider the ideas discussed, because the choices we make today will have a lasting impact of the future of humankind.